Hey guys, I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of how to best use CoachRx in your coaching practice. So first we're going to get started in the settings section. So what you're seeing right now is just your homepage. So if you're in here for the very first time, you're not going to have all of this data in, but don't worry, as soon as you start coaching people, this data will start to compile. All right, so we're going to start in the settings section. So I'm going to head over to this icon over here. I'm going to hit settings. I'm just going to walk you through each piece of this to get started. So first, this edit profile piece is for your personal coach profile. So here you can upload an image, first name, last name, email address, time zone, so on and so forth. Password, your password's already set, so if you need to change it, you would do it here. All right, important step, ensure that you have your consultation booking link here. So whatever is here is what's going to show in your client's app. So in their iOS or their Google Play Store app, when they pull it up and they go to book a consult, it will take them to this link. So if this is empty, there won't be anything in that and nothing to link off to. But if there is your link here, it'll take them right over to that link. Plan and billing, organization. So just some important pieces in the organization settings. Just plug in your business name, plug in your website, touch points per client. We'll get to this when we get to the coaching dashboard. But essentially, from an organization standpoint, whatever you choose here, that is your goal. All of your coaches inside of your organization, that's their goal. So a touch point is a comment, a DM, a consultation, anything like that. Anytime that your coach directly communicates with their client, it counts as a touch point. So if your best practice as a business is to have one touch point per week per client, then you're going to put one. If it's two, so on and so forth. So we'll get to individual goals, but you start with an organization goal. Here is your logo. So this is the logo that's going to be on your storefront page. This will be the logo that's on your contracts and waivers. Just go ahead and upload that there. And then your contract footer. This is going to be the information that's in your contract and waiver footer. And we'll get there in a minute. Notifications. So these are just your personal notification settings, client settings. So now this is for your personal coach account. So remember, anything that's an organization is across the entire organization. So each one of your coaches, or if you're a sole coach, you can change your individual settings. So important to understand, your coaches, if you're an organization owner and you set touch points to 3, your coaches can't go and put their touch points to 1. Okay, so whatever you put your organization touch points at, that is the minimum touch points. But if your coaches want to go above and beyond and go 5 per client per week, they can do that here. Okay, so dashboard exercise due days in advance. So we'll get to the dashboard in a second, but this is what flags exercise do. So you can go ahead and plug in whatever number you want there. Let client see workouts. So this is days ahead. Okay, so if you want to leave, if you want them to see into perpetuity, so if you want them to see 30 days in advance, go ahead and leave that at 0 for no limit. But if you want them to only see 7 days in advance, turn it to 7. And then if you want them to only be able to see the current week, then you would click this toggle button. Okay, best practice here. If you design training programs on Wednesday and you go Wednesday to Wednesday and you want them to see all 7 of those days, just click 7 here. Don't go current week because they'll only be able to see Wednesday through Sunday, but personal preference there. Then here, if you're importing clients from another platform, so True Coach, you would go here. From any other platform, you'd go here. Okay, instructions are on this page. Essentially what it is we're taking demographic data, any metrics or what we would call FMEs inside of CoachRx, any of that data, and then any additional data that you want connected to your client, you would fill out this CSV, you would upload, and as long as those email addresses are there, it'll run a background job, and the system will do the work in terms of sending invite emails, populating in the coaches list and all of that. So you're fairly hands-off from that standpoint. Integrations, so these are integrations that we have with CoachRx. And then education. This will be updated frequently, but essentially this is just all CoachRx specific education that we have in our LearnRx platform that CoachRx users get free access to. So that is settings. All right, next I want to do a quick orientation of your index. So I just clicked this index button in the top header here and it took me to this page. Okay, so on the left side, we'll have this navigation. So these are all of the pieces inside of the index. So you can open or close that based on screen real estate. If you want more screen real estate, you can go ahead and close the sidebar, but I'm going to leave it open for purposes of this walkthrough. So this is your typical exercise library. So we have about 2,000 exercises already preloaded, but if you want to, you can go ahead and add exercises, exercise name, video link, any instructions, pattern, alternate naming, equipment needed. So you can go ahead and upload your own exercises here if needed. Next, we have warm-ups and cool-down sets. So I'll go over this really quickly. So this is essentially gives you the ability to add your own work warm-ups and cool-downs, and anything that is populated in the exercise or warm-ups and cool-downs section here is going to automatically be populated as you begin typing in your client's calendar. Okay, so just to save some time, if you have commonly used warm-ups or cool-downs, you can go ahead and plug those in here. So this is our version of metrics. Okay, so you can go ahead and create FME sets. So you would name that FME set, put in a description, and then you would just add whatever FMEs that you want in here. Okay, so let's say 60-minute assault bike. I would select the unit of measurement. So for this, I would go, well, let's go calories. I would add it, and then I can add as many sets, or sorry, excuse me, as many FMEs as I would want there. And then I would save that set, and then you can assign that to clients one-off. Keep in mind, we do have some FME sets that are already built out in CoachRx, and then you can find those in your client section if you go to FMEs. All right, next we have lifestyle types. Okay, keep in mind, we don't only give the ability to prescribe exercise in CoachRx, but you can also prescribe lifestyle. And the way that you do that is you create lifestyle types. Okay, so we already have the basic lifestyle guidelines that we teach at OPEX already inside of here, but you can go ahead and add your own lifestyle types as well. Okay, so I'm just going to walk through one of these lifestyle types just to orientate you to what's inside here. So I'm going to click on movement. Okay, so in movement, that is the lifestyle type. There's no description in this, but you can add a description if you want. You can add a YouTube video or a Vimeo video explaining the importance on whatever this lifestyle type is. For purposes of this is Georgia walking through the importance of movement outside of the gym. And then you have prescriptions. So prescriptions are what you're actually prescribing inside of that lifestyle type. So the lifestyle type is movement, and prescriptions that we have in here are steps, active time, and then there's a yoga prescription. And then you can add as many prescriptions inside of this as you want and save, or you can go ahead and go back to this screen and create your own lifestyle types. Next, we have programs. In programs, there's a couple ways that you can leverage and utilize programs. Okay, so in your account, you're going to have a button that says download CoachRx programs. You can click that, and we plug in a few programs every single month inside of CoachRx. So you can go ahead and download the programs that CoachRx spits out, or you can create your own. When you go to add a program, you're going to go program name, description of that program, and then there's program types. So this is a little bit different than other platforms. So we have standard programs. That's probably what you're used to in other coaching platforms. So this is essentially a day 1 through however many days that program is, and it's static. Okay, so it's a standard static program. You design a training program inside of that program, and then you assign clients to it. And once the program is done, it's done unless you add additional weeks to it. So it's good if you're just giving someone like a template that you want them to go through for two to 4 weeks, whatever the case is. And then once they finish, they're done. It's not great to have people in it and continue to design training programs inside of it. And that's why we built live programs. So a live program is a little bit different because it's associated with calendar dates. So just like you design a training program on someone's individual calendar, you would do the same in live programs. But you could put 100 people inside of that if you wanted to, and they would all be fed the same program, of course, but you would just treat it as an individual calendar. So you don't have to bounce back and forth from the standard program type or go into their individual client accounts. And then you can add training age. So you just plug in beginner, intermediate, advanced, and then if it's for everyone, you just go all. If it's only for beginner, you would only have beginner. I'm going to take a second and walk through an example of a live program. Okay, so like I said, the live programs are connected to a calendar. Okay, so you can see here, this is the month of May, and these are the days inside of it. And this program is built here, and it's just pushed out to all of the people that are assigned inside of it. Okay, so inside of this as well, you can go to settings in program settings, and this is for both standard and live. You can make comments read only, messages read only, and you can disable client upload. So why would you want to do that? Let's say you have a bunch of people inside of a program and it's not a part of the service that you're going to respond to comments and respond to messages, and you don't want them uploading videos. You can completely control that right from here. Okay, and then the same idea in terms of allowance of visibility in the past and in the future. And then you have the ability to allow them to just see the current week as well. So we'll get into this when we go through the business suite, but this is where you would create your program sales page. Okay, and then this is connected to your storefront. Okay, so on the sales page, this is going to be generated automatically, that URL. You can add a banner image or a video. You can you can input program info. You can go experience level, how many sessions per day, average session time, sessions per week, who's the coach. You can upload a photo there, coach name, coach bio, or instead of putting in a text bio, you can go ahead and embed a video bio if you want. And then you can go social links, assign it to a coach. So if you have a program and you don't want it to go into your individual design account, coach account, you can just create a coach with the program name, and all of those clients will go inside of that. Plans to be offered. So these are plans that were created in the business suite. If you want it to be a trial, and then you can choose between if you want it to be a 7-day trial, 14-day trial, 30-day trial, or if there's a specific date that you want that trial to end on, then you would save that, and that makes this page live. Lifestyle programs is very similar to programs, but it's for lifestyle. And I know the name says that, but I guess when we look at situations in which you would use these, let's say that you have a common prescription of half body weight in ounces, and that's your only prescription in there. You can create that lifestyle program and just assign that. You can just assign that to as many clients as you want right here from this screen, instead of going in to their calendar and assigning it from there. So it works the same as programs, but they're just lifestyle programs. Okay, weekly check-in templates. So you can assign weekly check-ins from your client's calendar, but you need to have the template created to be able to assign it from your client's calendar. So the default template that's in is this one. So that's called default, so everyone has this, but you can go in and create as many templates as you want. So questions, sleep quality this week, and then answer type. We have a rating in here, but you can go text or yes and no. And then there's options throughout. If you want to create your own template, you would just go to add weekly check-in template. You would identify it by name, and then you would just add questions and then go answer type. And then once that's good, you would go ahead and hit save. And then when you go to assign a weekly check-in from the client calendar, it'll populate right there. Next, we have intake forms. So same idea. So we have a default intake form, but you can create your own intake form. I would highly recommend creating this based on what intake questions that you want to ask your clients, of course. And then you can only have one active intake form per account. So if you star that form, that's pushed to all new clients' mobile app. So that's where your client would fill out this intake form. They would go to intake in their mobile app and go ahead and fill it out right there. Last but not least, we have documents. This is where you would upload all of your documents in CoachRx. Keep in mind that all of these files or all of these documents that you upload are shared with all of your clients across the entire account. So when your clients go to settings, account settings, and they go to documents, this is what shows. Let's walk through your dashboard. So this is where you'll spend probably the most amount of time. as this is the first page that upon signing in that you're going to land on. So I just want to orientate you as to what this thing means and what each section is. So to get started, this top section is these are your coach metrics. Okay, so it lays out how many clients do you have personally in the system. It lays out your compliance. Okay, so we lay out compliance. You can go total all time, total 90 day, total 30, and total 7. And then you can do the same for exercise specifically and lifestyle specifically. Default, it's going to land on exercise over the last 30 days, but you can shift this up as needed. Next is your consult rate. So all we're looking at here is a running percentage of consults had over the last 60 days. Okay, so consults are tracked when adding consultation notes. So this is from the client calendar. So if you have a consultation with a client, best practice, open up their calendar, hit consultation, add a monthly consult, and then you're just going to type it in right there. And then finally, we have RX Insights. So this just gives you insights into your prescription behaviors, your coaching behaviors, your program design, and your lifestyle design behaviors. Okay, so if you click this here, you have exercise programs prescribed all time, exercise programs RX average per week, workouts RX all time, workouts RX this week, and then by default, it's going to land on workouts RX average per client per week. I'll get back to that in a second. Lifestyle programs RX all time and this week. Okay, so back to workouts RX average per client per week. This is a very beneficial metric to have for yourself, and if you have coaches that work underneath you as well, because it's one thing to say or to ask a question around like coaching efficiency and saying, how long does it take you to design a training program for your 10 clients? And if this number is 3.2 versus 8.2, that's going to be a lot different, right? So this is how many workouts or exercise sessions you prescribe on average per client per week. Okay, if it's 8.2, that means that you have a bunch of clients that you're doing 2-a-days and stuff like that with. If it's 3.2, that means that you're probably working with a lot of general population individuals. And it's really interesting for a coach to look at that and to understand their own program design habits. And it's just an insight. I don't think it's better if you have a higher number or worse if you have a lower number. It's just reality based on the clients that you're coaching. How many workout sessions do you prescribe for them on average per week? Okay. So that's something that's interesting to keep in mind. And the left here, this is simply what we call coach priorities. So we have exercise due, lifestyle due, and consultations due. Okay. That's just, okay, I need to take action on those things. And then in the middle here, this is just our activity feed. Okay. So I have it set on myself. So you can set it to all clients or you can pick specific clients here. So exercise, this is everything in exercise and activity feed over the last week or so, everything in lifestyle, and then everything in terms of weekly check-ins. Okay, so if you have it on all clients, it's just going to be a running list of all of your clients' latest exercise, lifestyle, and weekly check-in behavior. So best practice here is just when it's time to communicate, just go to this activity feed and scroll down and communicate with your clients. You have the ability to create Loom videos right here. You can type comments, GIFs, attachments, emojis, whatever the case is, or write personal notes. And you can do the same for exercise and lifestyle and weekly check-ins. Okay, and then this to the right, this is just a client, this is what we call the client communication section, okay? Here you have your touch points. So remember, this account was set to 1 touch point per week. So I'm doing a pretty good job, right? It's Thursday and I've communicated with 80% of the clients inside of CoachRx. Okay, so that's good. The goal is to hit 100% on a weekly basis. So it's just gamifying communication a little bit and giving you insight into your communication behaviors. Here, these are just quick notes that are added to your client's calendar. But if you go to your dashboard and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to add a quick note really quick. I just chatted with a client or got a message and I want to add something for next Tuesday. You can go ahead and do that. You can select the client, choose the color, choose what day. So I'm going to select Tuesday. And then I can go test and then just save that as a note, and then it's gonna add that to my client's calendar. Okay, and then any upcoming notes are going to show up here on your dashboard. And then we can add reminders as well. An example I like to use is, let's say you have a client that starts a new job next Friday and they just sent you a message saying that, and it's Tuesday, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to send them a message, but I have to remember to send them that message. Instead, you could just send them a reminder. So you can go ahead and select that client, select the date. So starting the job on Friday, I'm going to send this at 4 a.m. They wake up at 6, but I want it to be there as soon as they wake up. And I'm going to go title, good luck, and then crush it at the new job today. Okay, and then I save that, and then that's just pushed to my client at that day, at that time, with that title and with that note. Next, I'm going to walk through the client section. So this is where you're going to manage your client load. Okay, so here you're going to have the name of the client. You're going to have when their exercise is due, lifestyle due, exercise compliance, where you can change that there, lifestyle compliance, and then tags. Best practice is to really use these tags. Okay, so you'll notice that I just use days of the week. And this is what works really well for me and has been a best practice for a while. Let's say that it's Saturday and I don't want all of this noise to be here. I just want to pull up clients that I'm designing training programs for on Saturday. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit Saturday, and then all those clients are going to pop up that I design training programs for on Saturday. So just use this how you will. Some coaches use it for days of the week. Some coaches use it for client types, however you want to use it. Just really leverage that. You can get creative and what you want to add to those tags. So you would just go to manage tags. You can edit those tags. You can create additional tags, and then it'll show in your tag list. To add a client, you're just going to hit add client, first name, last name, email, sex, unit preference, time zone. Time zone is really important. If you do know the time zone of your client, go ahead and set it for them, because a lot of clients forget to set their time zone, and that's really important for push notifications. And then coach commission type. So if you want to go percentage fee default, this is if you're using the payroll feature, and then you would put in their commission rate. So whether it's a default, a percentage, or a fee. And then once you hit add client, it's going to send them that welcome email, and the client is going to go ahead and get set up with CoachRx based on that welcome email. So that is the client section. Next, we have the coaches section. So a lot of dummy data in here, so ignore all of this, but just wanted to give you an example of what this page would look like. So now when you go to this section, you're going to see your organization-wide metrics at the top here, okay? So how many clients are in the organization, compliance across the organization, consultation rate, RX insights, and touch point percentage. To add a coach, you're just going to click Add Coach. You're going to go first name, last name, and email. And then a little note here, if you're trying to add a coach with an existing account, you'll need to contact us directly. Also, you can change the role of your coaches. So if you have a coach and you want them to be an admin, you can go ahead and do that here. So what is admin? Admin is they are able to manage clients. Super admin is they are able to manage your business suite. So to see this information, you're going to have to get connected through Stripe. So really easy, takes 2 minutes. Go ahead and connect your account to Stripe, and that's going to create an organization Stripe Connect account for you. Okay, so in this first section, we have payments. So here you have your activity feed, you have invoices, you have products, you have recurring, you have one time, and you have tax. Okay, so to create products, you would just go to product, you would go to create product, you would create the product name, the description of that product. If it's a program that you're selling, you would tie it to that program right here. If it's not, just leave that blank. If you want to tie that product to a coach to help calculate payroll, you would do that here. If you don't want to connect it to a coach, leave that blank. And then we have a button here that says auto create client when product is purchased through storefront. So if you're selling products through the storefront, or if you're selling this product through the storefront and you want it to auto create a CoachRx account for the purchaser, you would click that. If you don't want it, don't click it. Okay, so you create all of your products right here. Okay, once you create a product, you're going to be able to build pricing plans. So I'll walk through what that will look like. So once you create that product, you're going to create add new pricing plan to this product. Okay, so here you would just name the plan. So test, billing period. So it could be a one-time payment. You can charge someone daily, weekly, monthly, every 3 months, every 6 months, yearly, or you can just create a custom pricing plan as well. Next, you're going to go amount. So let's go monthly. I'm going to go $3.99 per month. Commission type, I want that to be a percentage commission. This is if I'm calculating payroll, and I'm going to go 48% on that. Then I would create that plan, and if there's any other pricing plans that are connected to that product, you just go after you hit create, it'll take you back, and you just create as many of those pricing plans as you want. Next, we have recurring. So here I can create recurring plans. So this is how you connect those recurring subscriptions to clients. So I'll take you through an example of how to do that. So I'm going to create a subscription for myself. I'm going to select a product. I want to be coached by, let's say I'm coached by myself. I want to be coached by myself, and now I'm going to get moved to a pricing plan. I'm going to go 12 months. Okay, it's going to be 12 months at $355. I have a payment method on file, so I can select that. I can add a payment method right here, or I can just send the client the invoice, and then once they add that payment method, their payment method will be saved in CoachRx. But since I have that payment method here, I'm going to hit pay with the Amex, and I'm going to start that immediately. I'm going to renew forever, and I want billing to be on not the 10th of the month, but I want billing to be on the first of the month. Okay, so since billing is on the first of the month, you'll notice that we have a subtotal or a total that is prorated. Okay, so it's prorated to 248.50, and then I'll start to be charged 355 every single month after that. I can select a tax option. Okay, so you can go custom tax. You can go whatever tax options you have built in, and you would just build those tax options in right here. And then you hit start subscription, and then that starts your subscription. Pretty easy. Next, we have tax options. So this is what I walked through just now. So you can create specific tax rates. And this does nothing but just makes it easier to add tax to your purchases. So nothing actually occurs through adding these. It just makes it quicker to add those tax rates. And once those tax rates are added, it adds that to the invoice so the client knows what that tax rate was and what that tax type was. So for us, it's Arizona state tax at 8.05%. And then finally, we have one time. So if you want to charge someone for one-time consult, let's say, you would go to charge, you would find the client, pay by their payment method on file, no tax. I would just hit submit, and it would go ahead and charge that client right through the system. All right, next we have metrics and reporting. So here you can easily look at gross revenue, net revenue, total subscriptions, monthly recurring revenue, average price point, and clients added. Okay, I'll start at the bottom here actually. Clients added, you can go subscriptions or programs if you're selling programs. Average price point, you could do the same, subscriptions or programs, and then those will be a little bit different. So you can see that when I go to subscriptions, our average price point jumps up pretty significantly. When we go to total, it goes down because of programs that are being sold. Monthly recurring revenue, you can go total, subscriptions, or programs. And then gross revenue, net revenue, and total subscriptions. So you can dig a little bit deeper here. So if I were to go to view all, I'd see a table, and then I can export that table to a CSV file. And this is looking at date ranges. So I can go last day, last 7 days, last 30 days, current month, last 90 days, last year, all time, or a custom date range. All right, next we have payroll. So payroll, something that's important to point out is you're not actually paying your coaches through CoachRx. It's just telling you how much you owe your coaches. And again, this is based on your coaches, either their default percentages or whatever way you pay them, or how that product is set up. So when we walk through the products, we tied it to a coach, and then we could select a pay rate, a pay type, and a pay rate. It's looking at those things. So to run payroll, you simply select a date range. You select what coaches you want to run that payroll for. So you can go all coaches and it'll give you a list, or you can pick specific coaches, and then you just hit run. Okay, so it runs, it tells you the amount that they're owed, it tells you the description, it tells you who the client was, it tells you the date, it tells you if it's fulfilled, and then you can also edit that. Okay, so I can change the client, I can change the date, I can change the amount owed, I can change anything here. But me changing this doesn't change any of the Stripe data, it just changes the data that sits inside of payroll. I can also add an item. So let's say I wanted to add an item for myself, no client. That was on May 1st. I did floor time, and I'm owed $350 for floor time. I can add that, and then you'll notice that it shows that I'm owed $350 for floor time as well. Okay, so there gives you total owed. You can fulfill this. Once you fulfill it, that means that you paid it out. So don't hit fulfilled until it's paid out. You can export this data and send it to the coach. You can export it to send it to yourself. And then anything that is fulfilled, you'll have monthly ongoing metrics that tells you how much you've paid your coaches. All right, next we have contracts and waivers. This is probably the most underrated feature in the business suite and one of my favorite, just because it gets you out of other systems. So it got us out of DocuSign, which was very welcome. So here you have the ability to create contract templates or waiver templates. Okay, so you would just go to create, you title it, you'd plug it in. So best practice, you're probably pasting in your current contract or your current waiver. You'll notice that we also have quick tags here. So if you copy this in, it puts in their first name, this in puts in their last name, this in gets replaced with the date the contract was signed. So you can plug those in throughout the contract to more personalize that. Once those are in, you can go ahead and go in and edit it. This is an example of this contract. So you can edit or you can send. So once you send, you're just going to select the client you're going to send it to. You hit send. Once that's sent, it's sent to your client via email. They're given a confirmation code. They plug in that confirmation code and they read that contract right on their phone or right on their laptop. And they would just go ahead and sign that, hit submit. Once you hit submit, it just goes into signed contracts. And you can go ahead and view that contract right here. You can download that contract, you can email that contract, and that contract is also stored in your client's profile. All right, next we have storefronts. So I'm not going to walk through how to build storefronts because that'll take a while. If you go to the Help Center, so Help Center is right here, and you click in storefronts, we have a tutorial on how to build a storefront. But really quick, I'll just walk through what the heck a storefront is. So we have two types of storefronts. We have organization storefronts as well as coach storefronts. So from an organization storefront, you would plug in who you are, your services, what you offer, so on and so forth. Connect any products to that through your Stripe account. And individuals can go on and purchase products and services right through your storefront. And if you want to showcase your coaches, you can also create storefronts from them. And then finally, we have the customer page. So on the customer page, it just shows all the customers that are in your CoachRx account. It shows you all customers that are connected to Stripe. You can search for customers here, and it's the easiest way to find customers from a total account standpoint, so you're not going to coaches and looking at all of their clients. Let's take a quick look at the client calendar, starting from a standpoint of how you view the calendar. So in CoachRx, you have the ability to create multiple views. So what you're looking at now is the monthly view. So I can just look at the entire month on the screen. I can look at the daily view, the weekly view, or the long-term plan. So we'll get into the long-term plan here in a minute. But if I go to daily view, it just pulls up an individual day. So I can design a training program with that view. If I go to a weekly view, it just pulls up a specific week. So if I would just want to hyper focus on a single week, I can do that. And then I can move forward and backwards through those weeks. Personal preference, however you want to design and the platform. You can choose between day, week, or month. So I'm going to go back to month, and you'll notice that we have a little dumbbell in the top right corner here. So this just means that we're on the exercise calendar. So if I were to click that over, this would bring me over to the lifestyle calendar, and this is where I can add those lifestyle prescriptions. Okay, going back to the exercise calendar, you'll notice inside of these cells, you have the ability to add workouts, and there's get used to hotkeys. Okay, try to keep your hands off of the keyboard at all costs, just for quickness and getting things done in the platform. Adding workout, you can add or edit your lifestyle prescription, add a rest day, or paste in your workouts. Okay, so if we go to the left here, we have calendar, message, assessment, fitness monitoring, consultations, all the way down to profile and shortcut keys. Okay, so here we have the client name, age, height, what time it is in their time zone, where they are, and how many sessions they've completed. Here we message. So if I click message, that's going to pop up there. A calendar, we're on the calendar now. Assessment, so this is OPEX body, OPEX move, and OPEX work. Consultations and fitness monitoring. So fitness monitoring, this lays out all of the bucketed CoachRx FMEs, as well as any custom FMEs that you plugged in. The differentiator here is that we can actually look at what we propose to be structural balance. We can look at, based on these results, is the client structurally balanced or not. So looking at this table here, this indicates motor control is established, strength endurance is established, and maximum contraction standards and total structural balance is established. Okay, so we can just look at, going top to bottom, what are those FMEs, what are the scores, and how far away from baseline are they? So if it's red, that means that they're under, and that might be something that needs to be focused on. If they're green, that means that they're within range. And if they're amber, that means that they're above the normative range. So that doesn't mean get weaker there, but it's maybe you don't need to focus on that quite so much because that client might be a little bit stronger there. Okay. Then we have consultations. So we have monthly consults, initial consults, and weekly check-ins. So this is where we would adjust weekly check-in. So if I wanted to do a weekly check-in on Thursday, I want it to be a default weekly check-in. I want to make sure that this is clicked on. As soon as I hit save, it's going to push that weekly check-in to that client on that day. If I go to add monthly consult, you'll notice that we have client-facing notes and private notes. So this is for the export feature that we have in CoachRx, which I'll walk through in a minute here. But you want to ensure that you don't put anything that you don't want your client to see, and client-facing notes, you want to keep those in private notes, okay? And then we have the same for the initial consultation as well. And then if you hit monthly, you see all of your monthly consults that you did with that client. You can edit, you can export, you can view, or you can delete. So that's consultations. Planning and periodization. So planning and periodization, we go long-term plan, short-term plan, and daily plan. So I'll walk through this really quickly. First, you have to create a long-term plan. Once that long-term plan is created, you create short-term plans inside of that long-term plan. So let's say you create a 12-month long-term plan and then you hit add short-term plan. Essentially what we do here is we look at cycle type, so accumulation all the way down to deload, what day are they starting, how many weeks, and then the end date will be automatically calculated based on days of weeks, or how many, or what is the length in weeks. You look at cycle priorities, plug that in there, cycle notes, plug that in there, sustain type, so this is the map continuum, and then any sustain notes, pain type, the anaerobic continuum, and then any pain notes, and then you would hit create, and then that is created. Once that's created, you now have a look at the daily plan. So this is what would show up as tags on your calendar. So Monday through Sunday, just plug in what priorities are, and that'll be a nice reminder for you. And it's going to create some really good efficiencies when designing training programs. So that is planning. Then we have notes and documents. So here you can add notes, you can add documents. When you add a document, you can make that document available to the client or you can hide it from that client. What we've laid out as best practice when importing clients that want exercise history from another platform. Unfortunately, those platforms don't give us access to just like API all that data into CoachRx. So best practice is to download that data in a TXT file or something similar. Go ahead and upload that file here, name it client name exercise history, give it a description, make sure it's available to the client, make sure it's uploaded, save, and then the client has access to that. And then these are any notes that would fall inside of that client as well. Reminders, so we walk through that on the dashboard, but this is any reminders that are scheduled. This is your client's training schedule. Okay, so anything in white, they are available. Gray, it's an off day. Your client can update this via their training app. Priorities, so any priorities that your client might have, you can add those right here. Equipment list, so that equipment list can be added right here via your client's app. Client profile, this is where you'd update your client's profile. You can update their height, all their demographic data, their location, time zone, visibility settings. You can actually make each client comments read only, messages read only. You can disable their uploads. So if a client is just spamming you with videos, you do have the ability to disable that. I'm not saying you do that, but you have the ability to do it. Progress pictures, intake form, and billing. So this is all their billing information and billing history that they've had since they've been in the app. So really quick, I'm going to go back to the calendar because I want to point out the Loom integration. So when you go to create a training day, you'll have the ability to, in Coach's Notes, to click this Loom integration. So if you click this little video, it pulls up the Loom integration, and it's a nice feature. It gives you the ability to just speak to your client, maybe talk about what you guys are working on. Maybe you do this every Monday to set up the week. Maybe you do this on special occasions, or if you're going through some testing to give them some insight there. So anytime you see this from a communication standpoint, that just indicates that the Loom integration is there. So that's going to be in comments, that's going to be in messages, and that's going to also be in Coach's Notes. And then finally, let's talk about the client report feature. So here we can export. You've seen this as I've walked through a bunch of these features. There's this little share button or export button. If I click this, I have the ability to export wherever I am. So right now I have the ability to export workouts as a text file or as a nicely designed PDF. Okay, so this nicely designed PDF has your logo at the top, has the client's name inside of it. It has your name as their coach there. And it's just a nicely designed way to give your client more context. Okay, so I'm going to click PDF. I have the ability to select the date range in which I want to send that client report. I can send them lifestyle pieces as well. I can send them that structural balance chart. I can send them the last monthly consultation or initial consultation. I can send them body, move, and work. I can send them the intake form. I can send them the short-term plan, the long-term plan, any notes I want to plug in. So keep in mind, this is the body of the email. Any context you want to give them would be there. It's going to automatically have your client's email there. If you want to also send it to yourself, you can add your own email address there as well. Or if you don't want to send it to your client and you just want to test it out to see how it looks and send it to yourself, you can go ahead and do that right there. So that is your client calendar.